Has this ever happened to you? Oh my god, the bright light! I can't see the game! Oh man, it's so dark, I can't see anything! What color am I even looking at? Well, fret no more! Introducing the brand new, never before seen IPS LCD replacement screen. No more fiddling around in the dark, no more annoying reflections, and no more desaturated colors. You can now play indoors, outdoors, and in absolute darkness. All it takes is 2 screwdrivers and absolute willpower. In 3 easy steps, you've got yourself a brand new screen. No soldering required, no shell trimming, and no trouble. The kit will even include 2 touchpads to control the brightness, scan lines, and color options. And if you buy now, we will even include a brand new shell to match your very unique personality. All it takes is 4 easy payments of $9.99, and you can be playing your ultimate Game Boy today! Shipping not included. Tariffs may increase prices. Unique access to the shell. Dropping screws may occur. Touchpads may be finicky. This is fake and made as a joke. Please don't take anything said in the segment seriously. I'm not in any way.
Moo! I'm Coke with a confident cow, and I love me some Game Boys. Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, Advance, I got them all here. But I didn't always. Like most kids in the 90s, I grew up with a Game Boy Pocket in particular. Not this one, I actually had a silver one. This one is actually my brother's, and I have no idea what happened to mine. On my actual Game Boy, I spent countless hours playing Pokemon Red and Tetris, games that I still have today. However, as I grew older, I eventually got the Game Boy Advance, put away the Game Boy Pocket, and I completely skipped over the Game Boy Color. Because of this, I missed out on some classics like the Zelda Oracle games and the Gen 2 Pokemon games. Even though the Game Boy Advance could play Game Boy Color games, for one reason or another, I never got any to play on it. However, my brother did own an atomic purple Game Boy Color, so I did spend some time playing games on it. I mostly used it to play Pokemon Yellow, but I did play some of the classics like Wario Land 3 and Link's Awakening DX. But as time marched on, the Game Boy Color has been lost to time. I still managed to hold on to most of my consoles, including my brother's Game Boy Pocket and my own Game Boy Advance, but I never owned a Game Boy Color. Now, recently, I've been going to a few local game stores, which kind of unlocked an obsession. While I was there, I saw they had Metroid 2 and Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, so I picked them up for less than 20 bucks each. I have been on and off collecting some retro games over the years, mostly getting games I used to own, so why not grab a couple of Game Boy games? I dusted off my old Game Boy Pocket, grabbed some AAAs, and booted up Metroid 2. And, wow. This screen sucks. I braced myself for the monochromatic screen and the ghosting, but the lack of a backlit screen really sucks. You can't see anything. Even underneath ideal conditions like all the lights on in the house, you can barely see crap. If you reflect it too much, all you see is lights and not the game. But even still, there was something magical about playing a Game Boy game on a real Game Boy Color. I mentioned before how much I use emulation and how I own a couple of these retro handhelds that can easily play any Game Boy game I could ever want. So, why do I even want to play on this thing? And the reason is something I can't really describe. It's something greater than the sum of its parts. The console case feels premium compared to these cheap handhelds. The buttons feel right. The screen size is the perfect resolution for the game you're playing. No fiddling with image scaling or borders. Everything plays perfectly on the console it was meant to be played on. But the biggest drawback is just that damn screen. So a few weeks passed after I bought Metroid 2 and walked back into my local game store, and they had it. An atomic purple Game Boy Color in great condition, the exact same kind my brother used to own. And I didn't buy it. You see, what I really wanted was a Game Boy Advance SP like this one. Something to play every single Game Boy game with real hardware and with a backlit screen. But a few weeks pass and again I go visit and the Game Boy Color is just sitting there, begging to be picked up. So I gave in and bought my first ever Game Boy Color. It's awesome. It feels great, the screen is in color, which is nice when playing some classic Game Boy games I own. But the lack of a backlit screen still sucks. So I decided to buckle down and mod my own Game Boy Color. There are several mods out there for the Game Boy Color, from modifying the screen, replacing the speaker with a louder one, a new rechargeable battery pack, and so much more. I'm not really looking to do all that. I just want to play my Game Boy Color games without having to hunt down the light source like I'm some kind of plant with horns. But even picking the right screen replacement kit is a pain because there are so many options. From the research I've done, it seemed like the best one, for me anyways, was the High-Speed Dito IPS LCD drop-in replacement kit. It's a bit of a mouthful. I'll put a link in the description in case you want to get one yourself. And while you're down there, you should also hit that subscribe button. I chose this kit for 4 reasons. It's a kit that doesn't require any soldering, I can use my original shell, it's nice and bright, and it includes scanline options. There is an OLED kit for the Game Boy Color that looks absolutely phenomenal, but it requires soldering, and I would have to replace the shell, so it was a pass for me, sadly. So, after all my research was done, I bought my screen mod from AliExpress and waited patiently until it arrived. To prep myself, I watched Retro Gaming's GBC tutorial, and unlike me, he actually knows what he's doing. So please check him out. This video, on the other hand, is not a tutorial at all. But I will show you the struggles I went through, and there were struggles. I figured since I wasn't doing a shell swap or anything too crazy, it would be easy! And it was. Mostly. The first step is we remove the game and the batteries. Oh, I'm an idiot. I need to take out the fucking batteries first. Then, use the tri-wing screwdrivers that came with the kit, remove the 4 screws in the back and the 2 screws in the battery compartment. With the Game Boy now completely undressed, it's time to unscrew 3 more screws with the Phillips head screwdriver. Now remove the latches from the ribbon cable, move the top, and gently pull the ribbon cable loose. Now, don't screw this up, or else.
You're gonna have to replace the connector, which does require soldering. And I personally, I don't consider myself a soldering expert, but I have not been able to replace the connector. It's too tough for me, so be careful.
Oh.
That's not to say to be afraid.
I'm afraid. Thanks, man. You made me fucking afraid, alright? I'm fucking terrified. Now you can take the motherboard completely out, and since you have it out, I'd highly recommend cleaning the inside using isopropyl alcohol. After all, when was the last time you cleaned your Game Boy Color? Now, all that's left is to remove the screen, which you do by grabbing the corners and slightly bending to get the adhesive loose. Kinda like getting ice out of an ice tray. It's kind of scary at first, but as long as you're not too rough, you'll probably be fine. After getting it loose enough, I stuck my fingernail in between the screen and the case to pull it out. So my kit came with the lens separately. I'm honestly not 100% sure what the difference between a laminated and a non-laminated kit is. I think if it's laminated, the screen and the lens come stuck together, and the non-laminated means they're separate pieces? I actually don't know, but since my kit came with a glass and lens, and I assume glass is more scratch resistant than the plastic the Game Boy Color lens it comes with, I decided to replace the lens. So, all that being said, we now push the plastic lens out from the back. The kit comes with wires you can solder onto the board that allows for controlling the brightness with the buttons on your console, but they are optional. The kit also comes with an adhesive gasket, but since I'm reusing my shell, the adhesive is already applied, so I didn't use that either. But what we will use is the insulating film that protects the board from shorts when it comes in contact with the insides of the Game Boy. Now remove the sticker from the back of the lens and what's this white paper that's here? It was kind of weird, but you can take that out as well. Now place the lens on the front without removing the plastic quite yet. It can be a bit finicky to line it just right, but I got there eventually. Then pull the plastic right off and perfect. Now I tried cleaning the glass with these wipes to make sure there's no dust before installing the screen, and I think that might have made things worse. The glass had this immortal speck that would not go away on the lens. It was hard to see while streaming, but here's a recreation of what the speck looked like.
This will age well.
I didn't have a normal can of air to spray it off, but this is all I have. This is meant for keyboards. I don't know if this is a good idea. You know me though, I like scuff. It was a bit overkill, but god damn it, I wanted that speck gone. I spent way too long trying to make sure the glass is spotless, but I got there eventually. Now I place the screen onto the glass lens, and it's important to get this aligned right, otherwise the misalignment will drive you crazy. The easiest way to get it aligned correctly is to place it on the top left corner of the shell from the backside. If you do that, you should be good. Now it's time for the touchpads. These touchpads will be used to control the brightness and other settings. I place one directly under the infrared sensor and the other on the top left side of the shell. Tweezers come in clutch to get it in just right. Then we put everything back together. The ribbon cables, the 3 Phillips screws on the board, the back 6 tri-screws, and you should be good to go! We got ourselves a modded Game Boy Color screen. That's so much better! It's so much better! Oh, let me fucking look at it with my own eyeballs. Oh my god, it's so much better! Did you know that Mario wears red? Did you know that? Not before you didn't. See, that wasn't so bad. Now we're all done, right? Yeah, unfortunately the screen was ever so slightly tilted, and I cannot stand that. Is it critical? Tark, you don't fucking know me, do you? So, you know what that means. Cry? No. It means it's time to unscrew everything and realign it. Thankfully, it wasn't too bad, and I got it right on the second try. I did have a slight problem where the touchpads were changing the colors and brightness on their own, but I found out it was simply because the case wasn't screwed in tightly. After screwing it in all the way, and I am the master at screwing, that problem went away. Changing the options on the screen are easy. Tap the sensor on the right to cycle through the brightness settings. Hold that same sensor to cycle through the 4 different scanline options: none, horizontal, vertical, and grid. Personally, I like to leave it on the grid because it makes it look more like the original screen, and because it makes the screen darker, which is nice when I'm playing at night under the blanket so my mom can't catch me playing my Game Boy past my bedtime. Take that, Mom! Tapping the left sensor doesn't seem to do anything, but holding the left sensor cycles through the color options. The Game Boy Color already has a built-in option that changes the color palette of original Game Boy games by hitting a combination of buttons in the D-pad, so the palette option seems a little bit redundant? Especially because you wouldn't want to use these on Game Boy Color games. The only use I found is when playing a Game Boy game, hit down and B at the start screen to set the color palette to black and white. Then you could set the green color option, which gives it a vibe similar-ish to the original Game Boy. One really neat feature I found by accident is that you can open the on-screen display menu by holding both touchpads at the same time. From here, you can tap the left pad to go down the menu and the right touchpad to adjust the setting. This is especially useful for turning on frame blending, which is important for specific games that relied on the ghosting effect of a Game Boy screen to create transparency. I don't have any Game Boy games that I know of that uses this feature, so I can't directly show you physically what it looks like, but I do have an example of it in my previous video about emulating Game Boy games. The last options here allow you to change the horizontal and vertical position of the screen, which is super nifty since my screen was a little off-center. And of course, factory reset, which does what you expect it to do. After modding my Game Boy Color, it's been a blast to actually play games without having to deal with a shitty screen. I'm really excited to play Game Boy games how they were meant to be played. Mostly. I bought a few games already, some of which I've never played before. I decided to start playing Donkey Kong first. One thing I learned while playing it just now is that the intro of this game is referenced to the new Donkey Kong Bonanza. Neat, huh? This game is great. You know what? Let me load up my save data and, oh. This game doesn't save anymore. Fuck! If you got yourself a Game Boy Color laying around, I highly recommend picking it up and modding it. The mod is about $45-ish, but you can easily get it cheaper on the right sales. AliExpress has them all the time. It's cheaper than buying a retro handheld, and you'll be playing them how they're meant to be played. If you're too intimidated by this mod, just think that me, a dumb fucking cow, managed to do it by himself. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm just glad I never have to do this again. Oh. Ah, shit! Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If this video does well enough, I can make a video about my experience modding the Game Boy Advance, which did not go nearly as smoothly. So, if you want to see me fail spectacularly, make sure you like and subscribe so you can be notified when I upload it. Hopefully, sooner rather than later. I originally wanted to squeeze that into this video since I stream modding both consoles in one night, but this video is already long as it is. You can go catch the VOD of the mod over on my VOD channel, or catch me live over at twitch.tv/confidentcow. I've got every social media under the sun, so check them out in the links below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, cattle.